Hey, pentatonic scales are just really a very important part of your jazz improvisation vocabulary. And I think a lot of times people take pentatonics for granted. You learn a C major chord and a C major pentatonic. And you think you got it, but there's really multiple uses for these pentatonic scales. And in fact, there are multiple types of pentatonic scales. There are dominant pentatonic scales, major pentatonic scales, and I don't want to get into a complete discussion of all of the different types of pentatonic scales. What I'd like to do instead is talk about three ways you can use, or maybe I should say three major pentatonic scales that you can use on a basic major chord. And these are major pentatonics. And you just heard me play them a moment ago. If we're thinking C major, there I played three different major pentatonic scales with a C major 7 chord in mind, or just a C major chord in mind. So let's begin by locating the major pentatonic scales that are found within a major scale. Now let's keep in mind a major pentatonic scale is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 8 based on a root tone. And that would be a root, a major second, a major third, a perfect fifth, and a major sixth from any root tone. And we can always derive these directly from major scales, or sometimes we can just derive them intervallically, like I just mentioned. So let's take a look at the C major scale. You can see I've got it written out 2 octaves here. That way we can see complete pentatonics. You can see I've got the C major pentatonic. Obviously, that's the one that's based on the root. And you notice that I've written that it's suitable for improvising on a C major 7 chord. All of the notes, the root, the second, the third, the fifth, sixth, are perfect on a C major 7 chord. Very, very perfect. They all resonate well within that chord. The F major pentatonic, you can see we start on the 4th step of the C major scale, and we find the tones F, G, A. It's a major second from F to G. It's a major third from F to A. It's a perfect fifth from F to C, and a major sixth from F to D. So we find the F major scale, the F major pentatonic. But you can see I've written it's not suitable for improvising on a C major chord because of the prominence of the F within that scale. And typically on a major chord, we'll think of the 4th as being an avoid tone or a handle with care tone, a caution tone. You've got to be careful not to place too much emphasis on the 4th tone on a major chord. So we've located that one, but we're going to rule that one out for improvisation purposes. Let's look ahead, and we find that on the 5th step of the C major scale, we find the tones G, A, B, D, E, G. If we just walk right up that scale there, or right up into the 2nd octave of the C major scale, we can see that we've got the G major pentatonic. It's a major second from G to A. G to B is a major third, G to D, perfect fifth, G to E, major sixth. So there we've got the G major pentatonic. So right out of the C major scale, or right out of the major scale, we find that we've got the pentatonic based on the root and the pentatonic based on the fifth. Those are both really great pentatonic scales for improvising on a major chord. Now, check out this little pattern that it's not really a pattern, it's a lick, and I've heard, Dexter Gordon do this. I believe I originally heard it from Jimmy Heath, but this is a very common pentatonic sound, and it uses the root pentatonic and the 5 pentatonic. You can see it begins with tones from the 5 pentatonic in the key of C major. That's the G major pentatonic, G, A, B, D, B. It's not the complete pentatonic, but those are tones from the pentatonic. Now, when we use these pentatonics, we don't always have to use the complete pentatonic to qualify it as a pentatonic lick. In fact, often 1, 2, 3, and 5 from a pentatonic scale, we'll think of those tones as being pentatonic. So we start out with, and then we slide right into the C major pentatonic or the pentatonic based on the root. 1, 2, 3, 5. So when we put this together, very common sound. Like I said, I've heard Dexter do that, Jimmy Heath. It might be easier to try to think of folks that haven't done it than have, because just about everybody uses that particular lick, created using both the root pentatonic and the 5 pentatonic. Now, remember, I mentioned that we're going to use 3 different pentatonics. So we've ruled out one of the pentatonics that we find in the major scale because of the avoid tone that's in it. So, the way a lot of times jazz musicians get around this avoid tone is by raising the avoid tone a half step, the 4th tone, up a half step. We can think of it as a sharp 4 or a sharp 11, and there's a scale that includes that particular tone that's often used for improvisation on major chords, and it's the Lydian scale. You can see here I've got the C Lydian scale. I don't want to get into a big discussion about modes. I'll just remind you, it's got the raised 4th or the sharp 11. I've got it identified as both in this particular 2-octave version of the scale. Now, you could look through the scale and you would find that the C pentatonic is still in that scale. The G pentatonic, the pentatonics based on the root, and the pentatonics based on the 5th are still in that scale. But if we look at the 2nd degree of the scale, we see D, E, F sharp, A, B. That's starting on D. D to E is a whole step. D to F sharp, major 3rd. D to A is perfect 5th. D to B is a major 6th. So there we've got a pentatonic, and we'll refer to this one as the Lydian pentatonic. A lot of times the Lydian pentatonic on a major chord is based on the 2nd step. And now this is a really cool sound on this major chord because it really brightens up the harmony on the major chord. It eliminates avoid tones. So now we've got, and it gives us another pentatonic. So now we've got 3 pentatonics. We've got the pentatonic based on the root, the pentatonic based on the 2nd, that's the Lydian pentatonic, and the pentatonic based on the 5th of the Lydian scale. Now, one way I like to use the Lydian pentatonic is to, and this is not the only way, but this is one way I like to use it, is to sequence ideas that are based on the root pentatonic. So if I've got, and a sequence is when you repeat an idea at a different interval. So I've got, in this lick, you can see I've got, starting out with a C major pentatonic, and then I'm going to step up a whole step to the 2nd step, to the Lydian pentatonic, the pentatonic based on the 2nd. So in a C major chord, I might play. And I can work with the rhythms all kinds of different ways. And we could even sequence all 3 pentatonics. So like I did earlier, I started, at the very beginning of the video, you heard me sequence an idea, a 1, 2, 3, 5 idea based on each of these pentatonics. I started with the G pentatonic, then I played the C pentatonic, then the D pentatonic, then the G pentatonic, and resolved to a high C. And you've got, just all kinds of things that you can do with these pentatonics, sequencing or not. You don't always have to sequence. Sometimes you can just use one of them throughout a major chord. But remember, we've got these pentatonics based on the root, on the 2nd, and on the 5th degree of our key, and they work really great on these major chords. I'm Randy Hunter, and if you'd like a copy of the PDF that goes with this lesson, just visit my website, beginningsax.com. Go to the contact page. You'll find my email address there. You don't even have to fill out the contact form. Just send me an email and let me know that you'd like a copy of the PDF that goes with the lesson for Unleashing the Major Pentatonic Scale. Now, also, I hope you'll subscribe to my YouTube channel here, and while you're at my website, beginningsax.com, you can check out all of my jazz improvisation lessons that I've got for sale there. Just visit the shop page, and you can check everything out, books, lessons, etc. And also, I've got a subscription site, randyhunterjazz.vhx.tv, where you can subscribe to my complete lesson series on a monthly basis if you'd like. So I hope you'll visit my websites and drop me an email.